hopefully people that are listening are going to have a really good holiday.
And it's just the beginning. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's.
I am one of the richest guys I've ever met, even when I have no money in the bank. God actually challenged us to test him. Have you ever heard that scripture? I went through a moment of regretting not taking care of my health. I was in the middle of stroking. I had a hemorrhage on the left side of my brain, which ended up paralyzing the right side of my body.
All right, we are live and rocking and rolling.
Yep, and good evening, buddy.
Good evening to you as well, Chris. Good evening to everyone listening. Yes, it is the evening.
Yeah, I know it. And it seems more like evening so much earlier in the day.
Doesn't
4
it?
o'clock.
It's
Well,
that time change.
yeah, it's nuts because it's like it's dark outside at 4:45.
Yes, very much. Well, I think it doesn't, it's not like it is dark at 4:45.
Yeah.
Between the time change and living up north,
Yep.
even in where you are, Denver, I mean, that time change and then just the sun being at a lower angle, just it gets dark so early. And there's more to
Yep.
come too. It's only going to
Yes.
get darker for the next, I think, month before it starts coming out instead of in.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Well,
so I believe the winter solstice is December 20.
it's amazing to me that you even know when that stuff is. When I was your age, people could have begged me to know when that was, and I wouldn't have known.
It is a special day to me because that means we're now getting closer to summer instead of further.
On the opposite. I got you. Yeah, hump day or hump month or
That's
hump
it.
season.
You got to make
Yeah.
it. Just keep making it till then.
Well, what's going on in your world?
Well, it's another week down. For everyone listening out there, welcome to another week of Duo Jive. I'm your host, Noah, and this is your other hosts,
Chris.
We've made it to another week. This is a pretty big episode. This episode number's pretty significant in my opinion. It's a milestone in that, we've made it a whole month, technically, the equivalent of a whole month of podcast episodes. So if you're tuning in for the first time, check out our previous episodes. I guess I might as well just intro, wouldn't you say?
I think it's a good idea.
All right. Well, with that, welcome to Duo Jive, everyone. Yep, that's right. Welcome to this week's episode. Whether you're tuning in for the first time or you've tuned into all previous 30 episodes, this is episode number 29 technically, because this is episode 30.
Okay.
A whole month long. Thanks for listening, if you did. Thanks for joining, if you have. And welcome to Wyoming's #1 podcast for questionable advice, accidental wisdom, and deeply unnecessary storytelling.
Yes.
Once again, we are back at it.
Yes, and it's my favorite intro to a podcast there is right now. I've heard hundreds of different podcast intros, and that's my favorite, by the way.
You think? You don't think we can make it better?
Well, absolutely. But right now, it's my favorite. It's the content, right? The content of the intro. We are, say it again.
We are Wyoming's #1 podcast for accidental wisdom, deeply unnecessary storytelling, and what did I miss?
I don't know. The deeply unnecessary storytelling gets me, man. And I happen to
questionable advice.
Questionable advice, absolutely. And I love that as well, but the whole thing, but I just love that intro. I don't know that, well, I did quite a while ago hear an intro to a podcast that it was the creators of the podcast making fun of themselves, right? And so
that's fun.
That fits into that same vein for me. So yeah, man, thanks for bringing that up and pulling that up.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think you're right about we need to introduce ourselves more. So like I was saying previous to the introduction, I'm Noah. This is your host, other host, Chris, and we're just two dudes that one is currently in Wyoming. The other one is doing a little bit of traveling, but he's right outside of Wyoming. So, home base is Wyoming for us,
yes,
which is a little out of the norm because we are such a low population. I believe there's less people in this state than there is in like just the city of Denver, which is where you're located.
Oh yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. It's funny because one of the guys at work and I today were talking about this very thing. There are fewer people in the state of Wyoming than there are in the entire city or metropolitan area of Denver. And
yes,
it's kind of remarkable in a lot of ways Because if you're looking to get away from that race or get out of some of the problems that come with urban living, right? But if you're looking to get away from some of the trials or problems that come with urban living, which a lot of people now are having a problem with living in those bigger cities. They're going to want to try to get either out into the country away from where they live or get into one of Wyoming's cities. But I think there are bigger benefits to living in Wyoming, and that would be, we're a state that's, of course, you've got a right to carry, right? Whether it's
Yeah,
concealed
there's
or
some serious benefits that pertain to just freedom in general. I
yes,
feel
yeah,
like
yes.
freedom in the United States as of right now is questionable. It's getting better day by day, but from the previous 4 years, we've gone astray from what it means. I mean, the previous 100 years, we've gone astray to what freedom truly actually means, and I feel like we're getting better, but at the same time, Wyoming kinda sticks to that, you know,
It's what
freedom is
America
where it's
used
at.
to be, according to the bumper sticker.
Exactly.
So and that's why a lot of people live in Wyoming. It wasn't the reason why we moved to Wyoming, but are glad we did nonetheless. If you want to enjoy bigger cities or some of the benefits of a bigger city, you've got to travel just a little bit. Like
You
in
do.
your case, you've got to travel 3.5, 4 hours,
Which
into Fort Collins or Denver.
he's got a very good point. I actually personally just went to Fort Collins, which is right outside of Denver, right north of Denver. It takes about 3.5, 4 hours to get over there to that area, which is pretty significant. If you're living in a more populated area, that's a pretty significant drive. That is a weekend drive for my wife and I. We get out quite a bit, and being able to go and explore is very worth it to us. Going out this weekend was a blast. And by the way, that reminds me, go ahead and if you want to see actual footage a vlog style, go check out my personal YouTube channel or my Instagram, either Yep I'm Noah or Noah Avery on YouTube.
Yep.
I'll make sure to link in the description. Go
Always
check those
entertaining.
out
Yep.
to see my if you want to see me in action, you want to be a part of what we do on our weekend adventures. And on top of that, make sure to also check out our Duo Jive socials. There's some fun clips on there from previous episodes you can check
Yes.
out and maybe find one that might pertain to you, and then you can go check out the full episode. Don't hesitate to check it out. Like and subscribe, and it would be
Yes.
greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
Anyways, you were saying?
And you almost can't keep up with it all. It's funny because I find myself, well, man, I gotta watch two or three different social platforms in order to get it all. And I like that. You're doing a good job of that, by the way.
Well,
But
thank you.
yeah, it's you in Wyoming, me in Denver, although I live in Wyoming, and that's a little bit
You're
of
actually coming
us.
to Wyoming,
Yes, I am, as a matter of fact. So my mom is coming in tonight around
Grandma.
9 o'clock, and I'm picking her up, crashing at the RV, so I can go in tomorrow morning and be in at least one of the two meetings I typically attend in the morning, and then be on the road by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, heading for Wyoming. Whoop, whoop.
Man, yes,
And of
sir.
course, your mom has made it very clear it is a mandatory thing for me to stop by Buc-ee's so mom can experience that.
There you go. Well, she's not familiar with Buc-ee's because she's coming from Illinois,
Yep,
which
yep,
is a
right outside
northern state,
St. Louis.
which does
Mhm.
not have Buc-ee's.
That's correct. So this will be her first experience, and think she'll like it, really, quite frankly.
I think it's interesting. Has she not been to any of the ones in Texas?
Well, no, she doesn't. Man, it's probably been 40 years since she's been to Texas. I'll tell you when the last time was that she was in Texas, and maybe she can correct me on this. She was at your mom and I's wedding, which was 37 years ago. Yep,
Wow.
yep.
And it's highly unlikely she went to Buc-ee's then.
No, they didn't have a Buc-ee's then. Buc-ee's
Wow.
didn't exist then. That's like you having to come to terms with the fact that I know what it's like to live in an age where we didn't have internet or cell phones.
I'm sorry to hear that.
We didn't have Buc-ee's either.
No, I'm
There's
just
so
kidding.
much.
It's probably a good thing you
It
lived in
was.
a generation that you were able to
It
not
was.
be a part of that. But that's crazy to think that she hasn't been to a Buc-ee's. It's going to make a lot of people concerned because if there's any Texas listeners out there, shout out to you guys. You guys are the OGs when it comes to Buc-ee's.
Yes.
Buc-ee's originated in Texas.
Yes, it
So
did.
with her coming to Denver and exploring the Denver one, I mean, it's very similar. It's definitely Buc-ee's, but there's no limited amount of Texas merch. There's still Texas merch, but
Yes,
and
yes,
you can tell it originates from Texas just from the
yes,
overall aesthetic and theming and ambiance of it,
yes,
but
yes.
it's
It's one.
interesting that the first one.
If I'm not mistaken, this might require some research, but the Buc-ee's here in Johnstown, which is just south of Fort Collins, is, and the only one in Denver, by the way, is the largest one in America.
It was for about 3 months.
Oh, really? And another
Mhm.
another one passed it up, huh? Where was that at?
Yes, I believe so. I think back in Texas, they opened up another one that currently holds the record for the biggest Buc-ee's. I wanna
Okay.
say it overtook that not shortly after.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, and if you have not experienced a Buc-ee's, a couple of things to Buc-ee's fame would be the number of pumps available. My goodness gracious. You know, if you stand at one end of the pumps and look down the row of pumps, it's like, what in the world? Could you
It's
ever
crazy.
have that many cars in one location at one time for a gas station, for a fueling station, right?
Crazy.
And I've been there twice when it was just about full on fueling stations. That's crazy. And of course, all the Tesla chargers were taken up as well. I found that
Very true.
fascinating. And the
It's
store
very
will
interesting.
what?
It's interesting that they have the capacity that they have, and
Yes.
they
Yes.
still sometimes fill it, like,
What?
it feels like, there's an abundance of everything, but it's all being utilized.
Well, that's absolutely true. What's remarkable, even more remarkable about it, is it didn't seem like the store was overcrowded. There was
No.
still a lot of room
No,
in the
well,
store.
yes. Yeah, when it first opened, this one, I mean, I could imagine it was all the same for the other Buc-ee's, but this one in particular, which I believe, it was pretty crowded when it opened, and just to bring it back real quick, currently the biggest Buc-ee's is located in Luling, Texas, a 75,000 square foot store. Opened in
Wow.
June 2024, this location took the title from Seaverville, Tennessee. I didn't even know there was one in Tennessee,
Had no
but
idea.
that one's the second largest at 74,000 square feet. So I imagine that means the Buc-ee's in Denver is the third largest, possibly less. It's kind of crazy.
I don't know. Sure, there's probably a record of what its standing is in that, but I mean, they're all pretty close, quite frankly. I mean, they're all
Yes. I mean,
right.
just by 1,000 square feet, that
Yeah,
the difference between the
yeah,
Tennessee and the Texas one.
yeah. And when you're looking at a store that massive, it's you don't see the difference, quite frankly. And you don't in this one either. But I mean, I think that where Bucky struggles, it's the only thing that they struggle with is not the number of pumps, and it's not going to be the number of items available in their stores, which are it's amazing. It's hard to conceive, right, at first. But what they do struggle with is the number of registers. I've had to wait, and this is terrible, right? I've had to wait 10 minutes to get checked out. It's like that's nothing. But for a Bucky's, it seems like a long time and kind of
Right,
fun.
it's not just a walkout. I could see them, unless they're trying to do that intentionally so they can watch you as you leave, kinda force you to take your time leaving. I could see them maybe implementing something that maybe creates, like, a mobile checkout to where you take your phone, scan all of the items you want, and then
Yeah.
just check out, meet with, someone at the front, they verify, they see your items. I've seen some places do that, and then you just walk right out.
Well,
That could
Mavericks
be
got it.
efficient.
All the Mavericks,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
They've got it. They got
That's a self-checkout. I'm talking a mobile checkout. To where you don't even need that. You just use your phone, scan all the items on your phone, pay for it with your phone, and then leave. Proceed to leave.
yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, still, I mean, there's so much more to be discovered there, I'm sure, and I'm sure Bucky's is already working on it. But
Same
yeah,
here.
that's on the agenda for tomorrow. I'm not looking
Good.
forward to
Well,
it because I like to
you're
when I'm
not?
traveling. No, this is the crazy part about it. When I'm traveling, when I know I've got someplace to be in 4 hours roughly, I'm gonna find the fastest gas station stop off, the closest location to a stop off point. In other words, if I could pull off of an interstate and literally drive right into a gas station and drive back out like a pit stop almost, I would go for it. That would be me. But obviously, that's not the
So
rest
your
of.
intentions are from when you drive, it's getting from point A to point B. There's
Yeah,
no stops in between?
I enjoy doing that more. However, now when we're traveling as a family, I enjoy stopping and experiencing stuff and
I
junking things.
don't know. If that Montana trip has anything to say about it, you're pretty even on a trip that is dedicated for traveling, road tripping, you're pretty
Yes.
motivated to get to the next destination.
Well,
You're just focused in on it.
you're talking about speed. You're talking about speed,
Both
right?
speed, yes, you're right. You were fine making stops along the way, all the way, but
Yes.
speed, you're
Well,
moving and
yeah.
grooving.
If I can drive, if the speed limit's 100, I'm going 105. It's all
I
there
believe
is
they
to.
call that a lead foot.
Okay, yeah, and I know
It could be
it's
good.
horrible. I'd say it's horrible because I know that it kind of feels like you should want to drive slower, right? If you're
Yeah, well,
especially for leisure, being able to
yes,
spend time
leisure,
together.
yes.
But my God, man, when I get on the highway, it's just hard for me to. I want to be able to set that
I'm
cruise on.
kind of the same way.
Are
It's
you?
from point A to point B.
Yeah,
That's the goal.
absolutely,
But I will
absolutely.
say my mindset has kind of gotten a little bit more slow paced. I'm more accepting of a slower pace. I'm more accepting of a stop and go type of scenario because of my car. I think if you
Yeah,
were to get a Tesla and
yes,
having whenever you take road trips and
yes,
having to stop, it forces you to stop 20 to 30, maybe 40 minutes at a time and kind of just you can be the type of person that you just sit in there. But Tiff and I are big advocates of getting out and exploring that new area if I
yep,
find a new
yep,
supercharger
yep,
and get out and go
yep,
explore, take the 20 minutes
yes,
and then get back on the road.
yes, and yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yep.
So it might help you. I mean, you may have a hard time with it. I'm actually quite curious.
I know. I've rented them and I don't have a problem with them. I
You're okay
enjoy
with
it.
that?
I mean, if the only supercharger in town, the only supercharger in town was at a place that didn't have anything to offer, right? So imagine it's out in the middle of nowhere. That would be a little problematic because there's nothing to do, right?
Yes.
But if it's at a location or in a location where there's something to do when you get out of the car, bring it on, baby, every time. And fortunately,
A
in
lot more
Colorado,
fun.
yeah, in Colorado and Wyoming, it wasn't a problem.
Well, with your stop to Buc-ee's with grandma tomorrow,
Yes.
are you going to she's they have Bluebell in Illinois, right?
Well, I'm sure they do just like any other grocery store now because Bluebell is a national product, so I'm sure they
Is
do
it?
just like all the stores, because
I'm
we've
gonna be
got them.
honest, that's news to me. I thought they were still pretty local to Texas.
Well, I mean, it's in the stores here, not just in
Is it?
Buc-ee's. Yeah, yeah, you can
Well,
get
that's
Bluebell.
news to me.
Whoa,
Okay.
whoa, 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 whoa! You didn't know that Bluebell was in the freezer section of City Market?
You mean Kroger stores because City
Yes,
Market is one of the stores that it is not located.
that does not have Bluebell.
Yes, it does not have Bluebell and City Market stores, which is a part of Kroger, but I think you might be talking about maybe an Albertsons, maybe a Kroger, maybe a King Soopers.
All right, that's going to require a little research too, because I just, for the life of me, cannot remember a grocery store that did not have a couple of flavors of Bluebell in. Bluebell homemade.
Bluebell is not located in Wyoming. I will say that. I will say that much.
What? No
But
Bluebell ice cream,
they do
period?
have no, no, they don't have Bluebell at all. But they do have it. The reason why I was saying that they do have it in a freezer. They have a
Yes,
bunch of like mini pints
yes, yes,
located in a freezer in
yes.
the Buc-ee's in Johnstown.
Well, it has
Which I'm
to.
pretty I mean, that's kind of yeah, that's like a stop for me. I have to kinda check it out. There's always a specific flavor that I look for. Anyone
Yeah,
listening, if you've listened prior, crazy cookie dough. I mean, let me know if you guys have had it. Crazy cookie dough Bluebell ice cream, top tier.
yeah, it's
But
good.
with that, now my mind's on dessert, and it just reminded me
Yes,
that I tried a new dessert this week.
you did. And what is it?
The dessert that I have 2. So, I don't mean to I'm gonna get through
No,
these
this is a
quickly,
good this is a
but
good segue into it, by the way. It's a very good segue into it.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking,
Regretfully, I didn't try any. I didn't do any
you
dessert.
didn't try any dessert? You're slacking.
No, man, I can't think of any. Now that you brought it up, it's like, oh my God, I don't think I stopped anywhere and did any dessert for any reason. Strange,
Well, it's
strange.
good I did too. That'll make up for you then.
Okay, let's hear it. Is it new?
The first one I tried was in Crumble. Yes, these are new desserts, but it's not a new location because this weekend, well, I want to say, well, actually, we did actually quite a bit of traveling. We did both Fort Collins, which I was talking about earlier, and then I also went to Casper, Wyoming, which is another town in Wyoming. Fairly decent size, not crazy, nothing compared to Fort Collins, but they have some things there. And whenever we were in Casper, I got Crumble and I tried the new Reese's. It was called the Peanut Butter Cup Skillet Cookie featuring Reese's. And when I tell you I devoured that whole 1,000 calorie cookie in within 30 seconds, it was good.
It's
That
a
one
whole
was a high
day's worth
ranking
of
for me.
That's a whole day's worth of calories, man. Wow.
It certainly is.
Yeah, you definitely
And
can't
then
beat the diet.
the second dessert, well, it kept going because this was the same day. The second dessert that I tried that was a new experience for me was Cold Stone. Yep, nothing new there, but it was Cold Stone and it was the S'mores Moose Tracks festival or holiday flavor that they have right now.
Moose Tracks holiday flavor.
It's called
Okay.
the S'mores Moose Tracks and it's seasonal for
What
the
did it have
season.
in it?
Well, it had graham cracker like bits in it. It had so the ice cream itself was the holiday flavor, and it was called marshmallow moose tracks. And so it was like instead of vanilla, the base was marshmallow, and it was super cream, like it was like fluffy and airy. But then it had like the little peanut butter chocolate chunks in it, like moose tracks do with the chocolate
Yes. Yeah.
swirls. And then they
Yeah.
threw in some extra marshmallows, extra graham crackers, chocolate
Caramel?
inside of it. Whenever they created this no caramel. Moose Tracks doesn't have caramel, I don't think, like, normally.
That's fascinating.
So
Was it
you could probably add it.
chocolate or vanilla ice cream?
It was a vanilla it was neither, it was, marshmallow ice cream. Like, the base was marshmallow flavoring.
Okay. That's remarkable.
Yes,
Sounds
it
delish.
was.
Huh.
I would recommend.
Am I mistaken? Is there a Thanksgiving flavor at Crumble?
Yeah, so this week funny you mentioned that. This week okay, everyone out there listening, this is the week of Thanksgiving 2025, so happy Thanksgiving,
Yes.
but this
Thanksgiving.
week's crumble lineup is all pies.
Okay. Well, looks like that stop is on our agenda for tomorrow as well, then. We've got to do that.
You gonna pick up one of each?
Heck yeah. Do you know how many flavors they have? Am I going to be
They
doing a
have
full
7
dozen?
pies.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you could well, a dozen's okay, so the pies are a little bit more pricey, I will warn you on that.
Okay.
They are it's specialty, so they're a little bit pricier, and they have 7 new pies. I don't know if you need to do 7. Maybe pick a half dozen, do
Yeah.
6, and do
No. No, we got to try them all.
half dozen. That might work.
And yeah, and it can definitely become a topic for next week's podcast. You know what I'm saying? I think it should.
That's true.
I think our
Gonna have to
listener,
give our rating on
yeah.
the crumble pies.
Crumble pies. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, one of the things that are on my agenda for tomorrow is getting a large, probably one of the biggest I can never find, a large pumpkin pie. I can't imagine Thanksgiving without pumpkin pie. So that's on my
Wow.
agenda. So,
I didn't know you liked pumpkin.
oh my God, yeah. Oh my God. Warm it up, just a smidge, probably 10 seconds in the microwave, and then a massive dollop of whipped topping. Yeah, man, and some cold milk. Oh my, that feels like Thanksgiving to me.
I think they have a pumpkin pie flavoring, like a pumpkin pie as one
They've
of the
got to.
flavors for
They've
crumble. I
got to.
think. I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, yeah. They got to. So if we get, yeah, one of each flavor, are we done with the Dubai for a minute, or what should you do? Are they going to have a
I
Dubai
don't
there?
think they are serving it anymore.
Okay, all right,
As
fine,
far as when I looked, the locations around you do not serve Dubai chocolates
fair enough.
anymore. They're kind of, I guess, yeah, I guess they're just focused on the pies this week.
All
I
right,
could be mistaken. Whenever you go
nope,
in store, they may surprise you, but online is all pie.
cool, right on. Yeah, it's that time of
And when
year.
do you guys come?
So I'm gonna leave the job site around my last meeting. So I have two meetings every morning, 6:30 a.m. and 7 a.m. So I'm gonna do my 7 a.m. and most likely leave right about then. But I'm gonna take a stroll by the job site real quick just to see if there's anything worth looking into, and then I'll head out.
Okay.
And
So probably
from
midday.
from there to the RV, it's 15 minutes. So I'll pick mom up.
Yes.
So another 15 to pick her up. Grab the dog, load up, and hit the road.
Well, I think you should be good the entire day, but there's always that hindrance nowadays, now that we're coming into winter and winter roads, that is always a big hindrance when it comes to Wyoming.
Yeah.
Per my thoughts on it, I'm still big into traveling even during winter, so
Oh
I
yeah.
can kind of feel a little claustrophobic when I stay home for too long. And right now is usually, you get some snow on the roads, but it's still clear, so you should be good to go for tomorrow. Should
Yeah.
be good for all that traveling and such.
Yeah. I mean, so we haven't had a chance yet to get a bunch of snow on the road, have to plow it, start melting just a little bit, and then freeze overnight like it does, right? That's when the treachery
Yes.
starts to creep into that trip, and you start to become a whole lot more cautious, and it takes an extra 45 minutes to make that trip as well. But we are in
Oh, yeah.
good shape.
It adds
We
some
are in good.
time.
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of snow forecasted for tomorrow, but I'm not too worried about that, fortunately. And I think we got some more on Sunday,
Down where you are?
just in the route between here and Wyoming.
I don't think from what I last looked, there was no snow up in my part, up in Wyoming, where I'm located, so unless you deal with it traveling, I think you should be pretty clear.
Yeah, there are a couple of very small high areas, where you're making a pass over a range, but it's a very low range.
Oh,
So
okay. Yep.
yeah,
The pass.
there's some projected or forecasted snow in that area, but I don't think we're gonna have or see too much tomorrow. A little bit more on
And you
Sunday,
have
but
a vehicle that's four-wheel drive.
yep, yep.
Well,
So
then you should be good to go
yeah,
even then.
yeah, and we always pray when we travel.
Four-wheel
So
drive vehicles are essential up here.
yeah, all-wheel
Yes,
drive,
always,
especially all
always
drive forward.
start it off with prayer and
Yes, thank God when you get there, no doubt
mhm.
about it. Dude, man, talking about praying, I walked into a really great service this week. I told you about that church
Did you?
that I'm visiting in Strasbourg, which is about 20 minutes away from me here. And I went in there and enjoyed the worship part of it immensely. It's one of the best churches I have found here in the Denver area. Uh, that provides plenty of opportunity for worship, right? And that's what I don't want to go in and just do two songs and be done. That was great, but then the pastor, decided to preach a message that he had already spent 2 weeks on because it was a series, and it was called God's Currency. It was freaking awesome.
Wonder what he means by that.
Well, so the premise, the yeah, it's really the premise of the whole series is what we have, what we've been given, and what we earn on a weekly basis. If we've got a job and we're earning an income, it's all God's. And that's contrary. That conflicts with standard human nature. We want to feel as though what we're doing with our time and trading that time for money and getting a paycheck each week, we want to feel like it's ours. We did it. We earned it, right? And that is absolutely true. But what he encouraged everybody to consider was whatever you do earn, that's great. You did earn it, but God has blessed, if God's in it, he blessed you with what you earned and will continue to bless it so that it grows and you get to be the Lord over or steward over what God has provided you with, what he has blessed you with. And when you look at money that way, when you consider money to be from God, right? It's a blessing from God. He helped you to whatever, it changes everything. And it does because fortunately I've already had in practice, as you can imagine, when we're talking about God's currency, right? God's money. When we're talking about money from God, one of the things that we do with that money and have been doing for a long, long time is make sure God receives first from the first fruits. He receives a percentage from the first fruits of what we've earned. And as a result, that identifies in our lives and to the world and to the adversary and to everybody that's God's money, right? All of a sudden we've made it correct. And so because we've been tithing
And
for a
why
long
is it God's money?
why is it God's money? Or why is the tithe
Why
God's?
is it God's money?
So don't get me wrong. When I go to work each week, I am earning that money, right? And then they pay me for the time that I traded for that money. That is, in a sense, that is my money. But when I look at that money from psychologically, emotionally, even physically, if I see any, I don't, but when I look at that money as God's provision for me, and every week provide God right off the top, God, I want to make sure that you are the God of my finances. You are God in my finances. You are God in my life. And I immediately transfer a percentage of that back to God. And in my life, it's 10%, because that's what God taught Abraham to do all the way back, and this continued on up through the New Testament. So, and even the word tithe is kind of, if I'm not mistaken, in an old English dictionary, it's referred to as a tenth. So it works. And then that's just the tithe. The offering is above that. But when we do that, and God is the focus of what we bring in, and we make sure that He is God of it, it changes everything. And that's one of the reasons why I've never have had to worry about whether or not I can eat, right? The Bible says in Matthew chapter 6, it says, consider the birds, consider the flowers. They don't toil, they don't reap, they don't do anything. Yet I make sure that they're taken care of. This is God talking to His people, right? Yet I make sure that they don't have to worry, right? And then it goes on to say, how much more important are you than they are, right? And then he goes on in verse 63, I think. Yeah, verse 63, he says, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all of these things will be added unto you. You won't ever have to worry. You'll never have to worry. When God is the God of your finances, just like He's the God of your life, I personally believe we should be contributing or giving God first fruits from all of everything. Like, for example, our time. We've got roughly 24 hours in a day. I believe God should get a tithe of our time. And that's why
And
I
what do you
start
mean by that?
well, it's why I start my day off. I literally start every single day in prayer and thanking God and worshiping Him and exalting Him and identifying Him to both the spirit realm and to my realm. He's God. He's my God. And I worship Him. And by doing that, I'm setting a precedence in my time, and I'm tithing some of that time back right off the bat in the morning. I pray throughout the day, and I try to not just as a minimum 2 hours and 44 minutes or whatever it would be, 2 hours and 24 hours. So that would be what? 2 hours and 40 minutes, 10%. I should be praying with that.
It's really doing
And
the calculations right there.
well, yeah. I mean, if I'm gonna be diligent in what I'm doing and do it according to Scripture, if I'm tithing my time in prayer, or tithing my time in giving time to people in need, and so on, right? If I'm tithing in ministry, whether it's time towards ministry, time to building a church, time towards all kinds of stuff, that's how I look at that, and it's one of the reasons, Noah, why God has blessed me as much as He has, to where I am one of the richest guys I've ever met. Even when I have no money in the bank, I'm still one of the richest guys. You know, there's nobody richer than I. So for that reason, it's partly that comes into play there. God has to be God. God has to be God in everything. I'm reminded of a story. Can I tell you a story real quick? It's real fast. All right. I'm going to tell this story.
As
There
long
was
as
this
you promise
guy.
it's fast.
Yes, absolutely. There was a guy by the name of William Colgate. Ever heard of him? Ever heard that name? Ever heard?
I would assume he made toothpaste.
You're absolutely right. And that's where he got his start, actually. 1806. He made a decision in his business that he would give 10% right off the top, first fruits of his business every week. And he did that off of the entire company's income. As the years passed and God blessed his work, he increased. He's like, man, God's blessed me so much and I've got too much. I'm going to increase my giving and consider more of what I receive God's right off the top. So he increased his giving to 20%. What happened is God blessed his business more, and it got to where he had way too much money again. So he increased it to 30%. Eventually, he arrived at 50%. This was several years after I think it was 25, 30, almost 30 years after he started his companies, but he was at 50% of all the company's income. All the while, God was, of course, blessing his efforts. As everybody knows, William simply could not, he tried, but he could not outgive God. And neither can we as it stands. Today, over 100 years later, Colgate Palmolive is one of the top selling toothpaste brands. William attributed it until his death to the fact that he contributed what he did to God, and he considered God in his finance.
That's a great example, but it also is scary because then you make it sound too easy.
But it is that easy, though, is it not? What would make it not?
You think if the more you tithe, the more you're blessed by God
Well, so
financially?
here's the way I look at it. I'm not going to be foolish and say, okay, God, I'm making $15 an hour, which is $5 more than I was making. So I'm gonna give you 50%, right? You probably could not live. Although I wonder, there's a scripture that hit me today, and it just really blows my mind. God actually challenges us to test him. Have you ever heard that scripture? Listen to this. Malachi,
I have not.
the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 10 says, "Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house." Now, who's God talking about food for? For the body, yes, and also for those that we want to reach out to as a church, right? Bring the tithe in so that there may be food in it. Test me in this. He's what? He's trying to tell me to test him, right? I think God responds. Matter of fact, I don't think this at all. I know this. I've experienced it. I've been serving God for 60 years. When we test God, or when we decide, you know what? God's blessed me so much. I don't want to be stingy. I'm going to give more to God. That's one of the ways we test God. And that's one of the ways William
So
was
that
tested.
my question still stands.
Okay, and that is?
So basically, the more I tithe, the more I should expect to be financially stable?
Well, first and foremost, God loves a cheerful giver. I think it's Corinthians tells us that. Okay, God loves a cheerful giver, and God told us, you mete out. Okay, let me go to this one too. I'm sorry, man, but this is just really kind of. Remember this, 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 6-8. Remember this, whoever sows sparing, sowing is like sowing seeds in a field, right? A farmer sows seeds, right? Reaping is what you get back from that. So remember this, whoever sows sparingly, not stingy, right, will also reap sparingly. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, sparingly is the stingy version. And whoever sows generously will reap generously. Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give. Don't give something because somebody tells you to do it. Don't give, when you go to church and the preacher preaches a message, don't feel like, oh man, the preacher said it, now I have to do it, right? No, God loves a cheerful giver, and he responds to that. He always does, always has. Every time I have felt blessed and I've intentionally in my heart decided, I'm sorry, but I got to give more back to God. I can't be stingy. God has responded, has always blessed me because I chose to do that, right? And God will do it for anybody. It doesn't matter who you are. You can be serving God, not serving God. It doesn't matter. When you have committed in your heart, you want to bless the kingdom of God, and that's usually going to be a Christian. God's going to respond to that. It's an absolute fact. It's a scriptural precedent that was created in Scripture.
You got to be careful saying something like that whenever somebody might look at that and go, well, then that means all I have to do is just give more and more and more and more, and everything will come to me.
Well, that's what William Colgate did.
Like I would deserve it.
No, 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 no. I don't ever. Well, okay, that's a very good point, Noah, and I wouldn't suggest that or recommend it. And it's good that you brought that up. I would recommend, if you are looking to please God, You're not doing it for salvation, although it's part of it. It's part of the whole big picture of salvation. Part of that whole big picture is one section of that is having a giving heart, being a
It's
giver.
only a piece of it. Basically,
Exactly.
you are so your relationship with God is so strong and you're passionate about your relationship with God that you're willing to
Yes.
show it and prove it to him by offering up a portion of your earnings or your sowing or your what you've worked for, what you've worked towards. And it's not just coming with the intent or thought of, okay, this is literally just so I can make more money. And this is literally just so I can be more
Right.
financially comfortable.
Please don't do it so you can make more money. Please don't. That would be a wrong reason. Please do it because you're wanting
But
to
it sounds so
bless.
enticing
God.
when you have somebody like Colgate that had but what about whenever it comes to Colgate where he's like, "Yeah, I gave more and gave more and God gave more and gave more." And it's like, "Well, okay, well, I'll just follow in his footsteps."
We
Would
can,
that be
I think,
dangerous?
well, I don't think so. I guarantee you not. And here's why. When you're all of us can reach a place in our lives where God's blessing us, right? And I don't need everything he has given me. I don't. I've got too much. And we live in the richest nation in the world, okay? And so we are a blessed and powerful nation for many reasons. And in some ways, we're the richest nation in the world, but we're the most in debt nation as well. And there are several biblical teachers that teach on this, how that is actually a sin. However, getting off of that because that's not what this whole thing was about. When you're in a relationship with God and you have enough to meet your needs, even a little extra, and you decide, you know what? I mean, hopefully you're already in a relationship with God to where you're tithing. Okay. Hopefully that's the case. And if you're one of our listeners or you're watching us, please know we're not trying to preach to you or tell you that you have to do anything. We're sharing something with you that has absolutely worked for me, right? For me, Chris Cronenberger, the richest guy in the world, but it's not something that is recommended for you unless that is where you feel like in your relationship. God, that's where I'm at. You've blessed me and I've got more than I need. I'm going to give more to you, and when you do it, you can mark my words. You can call me back up later and tell me whether I'm right or wrong. God's going to respond to that. He's promised that he would. He promised that he would respond to that. The Bible tells us that when you give, when you give to the kingdom of God, in other words, a person is in need. They might not be in financial need. And I've had plenty of people come through our churches where we as a family have attended and what have you, that had needs that were not financial needs. They had spiritual needs. They had emotional needs. And when we invest ourselves into them to minister to their heart and their mind and to help them understand that there's help, right? There's plenty of help. There's the joy that you want and need. There's peace that you want and need, and there's so much more. When you are investing into the kingdom of God, the Bible tells us that he will pour it into you to where it's running over, to where your cup is running over. Your spiritual internal cup, your heart is running over. It's pressed down, shaken together, flowing over. This is how God responds to our investments into him. Please don't do it because you want more money, because that's the wrong reason. And you can call me later and tell me I was right about that, because you'll end up in financial ruin. But when you do it because you want to bless him, when you want to bless his people, when people visit your church or visit your work even, and they're hurting in some way and you want to bless them somehow, God always responds to that. And I'm sorry to talk so long. I just been going on and on talking about how God blessed me
It's
and
easy
hoping that our
when you're
listeners.
passionate about something, it's easy to go, get off into that tangent and kinda explain to people what you're passionate about, and that's awesome. I feel like, the question is, are we captivating them? That's kinda where I sit at. Is it in a way to where we're captivating them, or is it to where the entirety of our listeners dropped off because we sat on a conversation too long?
Well, now, one of the things about podcasts is people will listen to you just because they disagree with you, so
Yeah,
that they can.
well, yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. We've actually experienced them, right? And so
in the
it's
right
just got.
setting.
Yes. And so we just got to be able to put the information out there, and then sometimes they'll listen. And I think there's also, you've been doing such a great job of marketing this podcast and sharing it with the public, if you will, and our bases, right? I've got a social media base, and you got a social media base. So we've been sharing it with them, and some people have been really responding, and not all of them, because they like it. They may want to stick around just long enough to argue, and we're cool with that, by the way. Please share your opinion. Please
Yeah.
tell
Oh
us
yeah.
your thoughts on it.
Chris is spot on with that. If you have any opinion or any remarks regarding the podcast or our thoughts or thoughts that you have that may differ from our thoughts, shout,
Absolutely.
give
Yes.
us a comment and shout out so that way we can have a conversation with you guys because it's all the more interested in getting other people, especially with me. I'm it's more I feel like it's more easier, because the younger generation is more accepting of different mindsets than older generations. I'm not saying you fit in that generation. You may be in that generation, but most older generations have a tendency to be set in their ways, and they just want to get their point across. They don't want to hear out somebody else, especially if they're younger.
Fascinating. But at the same time, I'm kind of the mindset that the younger generation is not as open to other
You
minds.
think?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's
I think you might be right. You might be right. It might be such a drastic change or different mindset, and they're just as pushy and they're just as motivated to get their point across without hearing out the other person.
and I think I think I got to preface that whole thing with the fact that I'm talking predominantly about college kids
That
going
is my
to
generation.
colleges. Yeah.
Slightly younger than me, that is my generation, and that does not help, and that is a big part of our nation as a
Yes.
demographic.
Yes.
Granted, there are a lot of other outside of college generational kids in my generation that still I feel like compared to the bigger, like yes, the college demographic is very motivated in their one mindset of being woke. You could even call it the woke mind virus. I think I've actually heard that
Yeah.
multiple times.
Yep.
That
Yep.
probably is a good setting. The woke mind virus, and that is a part of it, but then there is another part that is I feel like there's other people like me to where we weren't necessarily in college, and so we're not accepting or susceptible to the
Indoctrinated. Yeah.
to the woke mind virus,
Yes.
but at the same
Yes.
time, we're still willing to hear out them and what they have to say because at the end of the day, they're still a person, and you have that conversation. You explain to them your thoughts, they explain to you theirs. If it seems as if the conversation is just them trying to scarf it down your throat, you move on. You have at it. There's no conversation on this planet that should lead someone to either reaching a point of physical violence or mental
Yeah.
violence, emotional violence.
Yeah.
Nothing should
Yes.
lead a person because they're so passionate about their mindset or that person
Absolutely.
that they're having a conversation with. And
Absolutely.
that's my little tangent on I don't even know how we got there. Talk about a absolute what would
Well,
you say?
I kind of shifted it, but you're absolutely right. And that's where really, I guess, on a weekly basis, we may want to talk about that more frequently.
Yeah,
Because
well,
your generation, if your generation has gone to college, they have become completely closed minded towards a certain demographic, which would be
yes.
anything Trump or anything conservative, right? Am I
Yeah, and
right?
that also stems from their relationship with God too.
Yes.
Typically, I'm gonna say close to 100% of that doesn't have a relationship with God, which
Yes.
does not help in that scenario, does not help with that conversation. Doesn't mean that you don't have the conversation with them at all. And it also
No.
depends on the type of person you are because you can be the type of person to, understand that these people are just as important when it comes to explaining to them what a relationship with God is, but at the same time if you're the type of person to where you can't have that conversation or you are a little too, you're too accepting of what they have to say, it may not be a good thing. A little too, you can't hold your ground. That can also be dangerous. There's a lot of factors. There's a lot of
Yeah,
factors when it
there
comes to
is.
that.
There is. And there are some larger sections of those factors that really dominate the news cycles and all that stuff.
How did we even get there? We were talking about our relationship with God, and then we were talking about tithing, and then we were talking. I truly we went into a rabbit hole.
But I enjoyed it. And I would love to hear the views of those that are listening or watching because this is how that dialogue, this is one of the ways that dialogue becomes even that much more interesting. And we can talk about
Yes,
it on future shows as we come across it sometimes.
I agree. If we remember, will we?
Yeah.
We will see.
Sometimes.
You guys will have to tune in for the next episode to find out. And better yet, we may need to start doing some live shows. That way we can, if there is an audience out there and you guys want to have the conversation with us live, we can actually talk to you guys in real time, which would be, I feel like it would be
Let's
a
do it.
blast, you know,
Let's
have some
do it.
topics.
We got
Like,
to do it.
we just gotta learn to stay on topic because talk about deeply unnecessary stories. I'm not saying what you had to discuss. It's just our rabbit trails tend to go really askew, especially if we have a set topics for the week. Not to say that
Yep.
going off and going astray is
Yep.
bad, but for example, this is the week of Thanksgiving. What did I have? I had a topic on maybe we should talk about what we're thankful for. And here we are, 50 minutes in. Time to wrap up.
I guess we can do it right after Thanksgiving then.
I don't know. I think can we sneak it in? Maybe
Absolutely. What
end it with the
today?
what we're thankful for?
What we're thankful? Oh man. Well, dude, I've just been talking for over a half hour about some of the things that I'm very thankful for. So what about you?
Well, this week is Thanksgiving, so you know what is a traditional thing that you do here in the United States? You talk about what you're thankful for, typically either
Yeah.
during your meal, before your meal, maybe
Yes.
after your meal, depending on the
Yes.
family or the household you're in. Ours
Yes.
is more traditionally, I'd say prior or during. It's been kind of a mix, either prior or during while we're eating. So we'll
Yep.
kind of each go through what
Yep.
we're thankful for, or while we're eating, which is a good time because then everyone's together and we're able to kind of have that conversation while being amongst each other and not busy
Yes.
with cooking or cleaning or hanging out.
Yes.
And
Yes.
a big part of what I've been thinking on it, you know, not for too long, but here just over the past day or two, just about what I've been thankful for and trying to think about, you know, maybe a good way to present it here in a couple days. And I figured talking to you guys would be a good way to kind of give my thoughts on it early and maybe even get my speech together whenever I'm in front of family, so that way I know what I'm saying, but just kind of realizing where I am in life, you know? There's always better because it doesn't matter who you are, there's always better in life, and looking at life and going, "Oh, man, you know, I'm not there. Oh, dang, this sucks for me," or "I don't deserve this," or you're just always looking at the negative. It can be dangerous because with that mindset, it can kind of keep you in a slump and it can keep you where you're at. And I feel like this year has been an eye opener for me and I think I know God has been a big part of that with me kind of understanding where I'm at. I put myself in that situation, and right now I'm in a great situation. And I did that for myself with the help of God, being motivated, understanding this is where I want to get. So I work towards it and being thankful of that mindset, being thankful, of course. I mean, let's just go classic with it. Being thankful for my family, for
Yeah.
Lincoln, for
Absolutely.
Tiff, for everyone.
Yes.
And
Yes. Building
just
your own
another
family.
one. Yes, building my own
Huge.
family and then health. You can't go wrong with just throwing in.
Oh,
I'm thankful for my health, but in
yep.
reality, that was a big part of this year as well. I've been drastically my eyes and my mind have been drastically open to what health is and the importance of health, and it's a big one. So, you know, just the
That's huge.
the understanding of where I am mentally, the understanding of where I am health and
Yes.
family.
Yes. And, it's funny because we do talk about this, especially around Thanksgiving and what we're thankful for. The question, I guess, becomes, have we been taking time to spend time thanking God, being thankful to God and telling him how thankful we are,
And not just
I,
doing it the one time a year with your family.
yes, yes, exactly. One of the many reasons why I enjoy going to a church that's going to be first and foremost take time to worship God for a while and not just limit it to two songs. I'm sorry, it just hits me, right? It just hurts. It hurts my brain when I come into a church. I'm ready to worship corporately with a body of believers and exalt God for a while, and then two songs were done.
Yeah,
But yeah,
something to
just
work on.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, hang on. Yeah, well, what about you?
Well, I mean, other than what I've just been talking about for the past 45 minutes, I mean, it's ironic, I guess, that you keyed on health as strongly as you did, because that's That's one of the things that I went through a moment of regretting not taking care of my health, right? In 2018. My wife took me to the hospital because I was in the middle of stroking. I had a hemorrhage on the left side of my brain, which ended up paralyzing the right side of my body, as I've shared on the podcast before. Health is a big, big thing to be thankful for, and being thankful for those that are around me that care about my health and also inspire or influence better health, like you've been doing. You've been doing that so strongly, and it's had an impact in how I live. Every day of my life, I'm impacted by some of the things you've been doing, many of the things you've been doing. I mean, I never used to look at my calories, my caloric intake. I never did, never once did. But thanks to you, I am. And there are so many things to be thankful for. And yes, God blesses me with all of these things, but just the fact that each of these things are a part of my life are really pretty motivating. And I've got so much to be thankful for. Oh my God. I
That's
mean,
good.
when it starts at the top, right? I'm thankful for my wife. I'm thankful for my mom. And when my dad was alive, him, my grandma before that, because they were people, praying people. And of course, they helped launch my life because they inspired me as a kid to eat meals that were a little bit more healthy than I would have eaten as a kid, right? If I was to pick out my meal plan as a kid, as a teenager, it would have been hamburgers, pizza, ice cream. It would have been nothing good. It would Hostess cupcakes, but my mom, absolutely refused to let that be a main staple, right? So there were
Hmm.
so many things that were being done by my family at that age, and then what that launched me into, and having the family that I have now, and my children and their spouses and then their children. My goodness gracious, again, another one of the reasons why I'm one of the richest guys I know, and much to be thankful for.
The cliche of it all, it always comes back to I'm thankful for my friends, my family, and my health, but just saying it in a fancier version. Kind of both what we did there,
Well,
kind of
but it
going on. And
is it not? Well, and then of course
I
we don't
completely
want to.
agree. I mean, it's what makes up your life. Having a healthy life
Yes,
means you get to live longer and enjoy more of it.
yes,
Having a life with family means you get to be a part of a family and you get to be a part of your family and experience things together. And yeah, it's funny because you got those people at the dinner table that always go, "I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my health." And then they just kind of wrap it up there and it's like, "That's it?" It's like, "Well, I covered all the bases. What do you mean go into detail?" And that's kind of what we did. And it's more meaningful that way, I guess, but
yeah, yeah.
still.
I mean, I could say that I'm thankful for my job, because I am. I'm very thankful for
Yes.
my. Not because it pays well, because it's a good job. I work around really wonderful people, and we're like a big family at work, and that's pretty cool. Often do we get those things and enjoy going to work every day and not looking for a way to get out of there, not looking for 3 o'clock. I typically don't, or in my case, sometimes noon and 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but I don't look for those times, right? Many times they
It's a lot
creep up.
easier to not look whenever you're getting off at noon.
But I get out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. A lot of people aren't willing to do that.
Oof.
I start my day
Yeah.
very early. The first meeting is at 6:30. But,
Mhm.
I mean, those are things I'm very thankful for. And there's so much. I mean, where do I stop?
Mhm. It's best to stop because you don't wanna be that guy to where you get basically called off the stage by them playing music in the background.
You can just see it now. You get a little track and develop a way to where you can start
Starts
playing
playing in the
music while we're.
background.
That's great.
Limited 1 minute each.
Well, one of the things that's really been going on a lot at work is they've been plugging the phone numbers for the crisis hotline, both in Denver and also on the job site. There are people that are assigned to our job site. That's their job, is crisis. People that are thinking about divorce or thinking about suicide or thinking about whatever, right? These are people that they can talk to.
That's awesome.
Many times I believe, and don't correct me if I'm wrong, but in our daily lives, we don't think about these things very much, do we? Because we're blessed, right? We may not be spending enough time thinking about, what about those people? What about that person who's really struggling? And hopefully, if somebody that's listening to us or watching us feels like right now they just want to end it all, for example, because their holiday is not going that good or as good as ours or whatever, God forbid. But if somebody's thinking about that, hopefully they'll feel that like they can reach out to us. I
I completely agree. Hit us up.
It's probably the best time of year to stay more plugged into the comments, right? Because when people comment on or respond to our podcast, your podcast, sometimes our lives get busy and we don't see something somebody posted. So it's a good time of year to really, really, really stay plugged into those comments.
Yep.
So we will,
I think you're right.
on your behalf. Absolutely. Well,
Okay.
brother, yeah, we've been talking for a bit.
You got to get out of here. Yeah, and you have to leave.
Yeah, it's 8:30. Mom called me a bit ago, and just a little while ago, and she said they pushed my flight back an hour. So I've got an extra hour.
Okay, so you got some time then.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm not rushing you out the door then.
No, sir. No.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, like you said, it's been an hour, and I think this is a good place to wrap it up. Shall we?
Yes, absolutely. Hopefully,
Well,
people that are listening are going to have a really good holiday. We hope so. We really do hope that. Lord willing, you will.
and it's just the beginning. Thanksgiving,
Yes.
Christmas, New
Yes.
Year's, more to come.
Yes.
Still to come because of Thanksgiving. You know, we're a couple days away, so exciting stuff there. Being able to hang out with friends and family and
Yes.
so on, and eat good
Yes.
food. It's only the beginning.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, thanks for hanging out, bro.
Yes, sir. And thank you guys for hanging out with us, listening in, tuning in, or watching if you're checking us out on the YouTube channel. But let us know what your guys' thoughts are as far as just overall what your favorite dessert was for the week. If you guys tried anything new as far as desserts, let us know what your favorite dessert is. Let us know what you thought, how you guys prep for winter, your thoughts on winter, and if you're a fan of it or not, and also what you're thankful for. I feel everyone out there has something they're thankful for, so let us know what your guys' are in the comments. And
Yes.
I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Well said. All right. Next week. Till next time.
Week. And until then,
Yes.
remember
Yes,
to live life to the fullest.
Amen.